Hey guys, I'm Joey and I'm going to go over 5 aquatic plants that I think you should have if you're a beginner. The difficulty in keeping these plants will vary on the condition of the plant you're buying it in. If it's anything like the jungle valve I got, it is in bad condition and it's taking quite some time to grow, and it's actually doing really good right now. So if you get it in really bad condition, of course it's not going to perfectly spread and propagate, look beautiful in your tank. It will take a while. Another disclaimer about getting these plants or getting any plants is to make sure it doesn't have snail eggs or snails on them. If they do have snail eggs, what I do is I kind of rub my finger over them. It's a little weird, but you're not going to have snails all over your tank like I have in this tank and my guppy tank. So yeah, if you get it from a place that does have snails, wouldn't recommend getting it, but if you do, just make sure you don't have snails in it. Some people bleach their plants and I don't recommend that. That's not really natural. I would much rather you kind of get rid of the snails or get rid of the eggs. It's a lot easier and a lot better for the plant. Okay, the first aquatic plant I think you should have is not really a plant that you would plant into the substrate, but Java moss or guppy grass. They're both pretty much the same thing. I know one sinks and one floats. Not 100% sure which one does which, but they're really easy to care for. They don't require a crazy amount of lighting. Don't really gotta put any fertilizer in the tank. You don't have to add any, at least. But yeah, if you wanted to thrive and get bigger and have it grow faster, better lighting and fertilizers would be good. It doesn't require CO2. You can put CO2. I wouldn't recommend it, but Java moss is a great plant for beginners. Okay, the next aquatic plant I would recommend for beginners is Java Fern. It's really colorful. It adds texture to the tank. I have it right there. I also have guppy grass, or I think it's guppy grass. But yeah, it's really easy to care for. Same thing as Java moss and guppy grass. Doesn't need highlight. Doesn't need CO2. Doesn't need to be you don't have to dose fertilizers. It will grow eventually. Maybe it will grow little dots on some of the leaves. Don't freak out. That's completely normal, and that's how it, I guess you could say, propagates. Those little dots will turn into pieces of Java moss. So I have one on mine and it's taking forever. It's not gonna, you're not gonna see the dots, and like a month later I've had Java moss for, I want to say, maybe 4 months, and I bought it with the dots and they still haven't really turned into more Java moss. So if that happens, be patient. It's not, doesn't mean the plant's dead, doesn't mean it sucks. If you get a plant and you see that it has dots on it, don't go and return it. It's perfectly fine. The next aquatic plant is also a plant that you don't really plant into the substrate, but it is a banana plant. I have it right here. It's pretty small, you probably can't see it, but it is really gonna add texture to your tank. Not texture, but like it's gonna stand out, and it's really easy to care for. The leaves are just gonna be coming up like crazy. At least they are with me. Yeah, there's not really anything different to care for about these. Is do not plant it. Don't shove the banana looking stuff into the substrate. That's most likely gonna kill it. But just set it on the substrate, and if, I don't know, I might try to get a close clip with it later, but it will grow a root system eventually. Put it into the floor. It does take a while, but it's pretty easy to care for, and it will add great character to your tank. The next aquatic plant is water wisteria, or Wisteria. I have it in my guppy breeding tank that And that video of showcasing the breeding tank should be up next week if you're watching this when it's uploaded. And it's really easy to grow. You don't really, I've heard of people who have it in a tank with no light and it still grows. It does great. One thing, if you buy it in those little weird containers that have like styrofoam and silicone in there from like PetSmart, Petco. I haven't seen an actual fish store that sells them like that, but it can, the stem will kind of, I don't want to say go away, and you'll just see like some kind of whitish transparent strings, and that's normal if it's because it's growing out of water, and it's going to be like that. Just wait, don't try to cut it off and then plant it more. It's perfectly fine, just wait and it will grow back and it'll be just fine. So yeah, you don't really need light, you don't need a strong light, don't need CO2. It will end up growing into a big kind of poof if you do have CO2 and all that, and it looks really great. The last and final plant I recommend for beginners is jungle val. I almost forgot the name. It's gonna kind of look like a seaweed kind of. It has a seaweed kind of texture to it. It grows really fast. Mine hasn't really grown fast because when I got it, it was nipped. It was not in good condition, but it's getting really good. It will kind of take up the whole back of your tank. It's definitely a background plant. And what I like about it is when it grows, it's not gonna, if it goes past the water line, it's not gonna keep going straight up. The leaf will actually go to the top of the water line and then it'll kind of flatten out. Yeah, it's really easy to trim too. You don't really need any special scissors. You don't really need to do anything fancy. You can just rip it. And then the fun thing, I think, I'm not 100% sure, I haven't done it, but I feel like I know people who have. That part they rip off, they plant it, and then it's gonna propagate. That's how you propagate it. That's one way you can. It can grow fast. It might not, depending on the condition you bought the plant in. So those are 5 aquatic plants I recommend for you beginners out there. Let me know if you have any questions on them in the bottom, or any other people watching that have aquatic plants and you feel I left some out. Leave them in the comments. If you have any questions, leave them in the comments. My social media will be in the description. Subscribe.